Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hey friends, welcome back to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. I am thrilled to share this conversation with you today. Suzie Stroup is with us, and she leads gorgeous curated trips to Italy. Her company is called Black Sheep Beautiful Adventures. And she shared a beautiful story. Of course, it's beautiful. A beautiful story of how she came up with the name for her company. And that was from her childhood, visiting her grandmother who lived in the country and surrounded by sheep farms, and noticed that in this herd, there was one black sheep. And she was fascinated by that. And it has stayed with her. That image has stayed with her. And to her, it means to not follow the herd, to do something special, to do something that sets you apart. And that is exactly what her beautiful adventures do. So here's a little bit about Suzie from her bio. Since I was a little girl, I have had a passion for designing, creating, and event planning. I am a dreamer, visionary, creator, producer, and soul seeker of beauty. For well over 40 years, I have had the opportunity to create and design in many fields in the design industry. I am the founder and host of Black Sheep Beautiful Adventures, Ladies Luxury Getaways. Life is beautiful, and I want to show it off. I custom design each beautiful adventure with the intention to create extraordinary experiences down to the finest detail for an intimate group of women. I am humbled and blessed to meet such extraordinary women on each beautiful adventure. My spirit is so happy to see them smile, experience everlasting memories, enjoy fabulous experiences, and create lifelong friendships. Creativity has been my source of healing and my compass to help me navigate my life after the passing of my beautiful daughter, Brittany, who continues to be my teacher, my hero, and my heart. She is a nana to 4 gorgeous grandchildren and a mother to 3 handsome sons, and she is married to the love of her life. And I cannot wait for you to get to know Suzie a little bit more along with me during this beautiful conversation. Sweet Suzie, I am
Hey, how are you?
so excited to share this space with you. I am fine. How are you?
You know what? In this very moment, I have so much joy to be here with you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh, what a beautiful thing to say. And it's my great pleasure. And so as we start most of these conversations, I will just ask you, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
In this season, I'm saying yes to savoring every experience I have in my life right now. I'm savoring the joy of sitting at the table, even for dinner, or the joy of getting up and having that first cappuccino that I get every morning that I just love. It's just, and then the warmth and the conversations I have with God, and how can I best serve, and how can I become the best version of who I am today. So I savor that.
That is beautiful. And what a glorious intention.
Oh my goodness, it's a work in progress, right?
Yes. But I feel like, life is happening.
Right.
And it happens whether we are intentional and set apart, set ourselves apart to be in service, to have a purpose, to discover what dreams are in our hearts and take inspired action in that direction. Or if we hit snooze 3 times and then we're late and we're running through our day, like life is happening in both of those scenarios. So I love your decision and my decision to do it intentionally,
Right.
to practice time and space that is quiet, that is, for me, my morning routine. Some days there's a lot of talking on my side of it. I'm journaling like a crazy person. And sometimes there is a lot of listening, and it is in the listening that more is accomplished.
I agree with you. And I look at it as God's whispers. If we're paying attention and intentionally looking to savor our moments, we're also listening to his whispers and his intentions. So I think in this season of my life that I want more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to surround myself with like-minded women who inspire that, as well as lift that joy out of my spirit and out into the world. I love that. I find that in this time of my life that it is important that we create that community. And it was interesting because when I first learned about you, I sometimes you're on Instagram and all of a sudden you see a post and they had mentioned you. So I'm like, okay, I'm interested. I got to go over here. So I went over there and then I got on your website and I'm like, wow, this woman is a kindred spirit.
Yay.
I just was like, I have got to at least reach out. And so I started listening to your podcasts and I was just overjoyed with the women that you brought on, their inspiration. And I thought, oh, this is a tribe I want to belong to. I want to be here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. And I sent you a text and I said, thank you for lightening up women's lives, because that's what you do. You really do. And you have such a gift for words and you listen with your heart. And I love that about you.
Oh my gosh. I'm totally gonna cry.
Oh my goodness. It's so true though.
Sweet.
And I feel like I've known you and I can't wait to get to know you better, but we will. I know that.
Absolutely. And I just want to honor your generosity.
Oh,
so thank you.
And thank you.
So,
yes.
This is how you know I'm not lying. This has been such an unbelievable gift to have these conversations, to share these conversations, and then to have the unbelievable blessing of hearing from listeners how the conversation impacted them. And I just think, oh my word, this is such an unbelievable gift. My days, I live on a small farm in New England, and my days are filled with beautiful, gorgeous things that delight me in the form of chores.
Right.
And I love this space. I love being here. So mowing the lawn and pulling weeds and cleaning chicken coops and all the thousands of other things that have to be done truly do bring me joy and delight. And it's work. Like it is. It takes a physical toll on my body. I'm very grateful for my strong body, my strong faith, and my strong mindset, which I write on my gratitude list every day. And so in comparison, this podcast, it's the easiest thing that I do. It's ridiculous. I have a gorgeous conversation after hitting record. And then I tell my fabulous team, I just had another fabulous conversation and I hit record. So
That's
do
wonderful.
your thing. And then they do all the stuff I don't know how to do. And it gets to the people. And I just, when I think about, in what universe do I only do this beautiful, fabulous, life-giving, easy thing? If I just did this podcast and farm stays at the house and trips to France.
Hey,
yes, please.
Yes.
More of that. Right?
I call your experiences God moments.
Oh, yes.
Because when you do press that record button, they are God moments. And the people that come into your life right here, like we are right now, are meant to be in this space with you. And I know that we both receive as much as we are giving in it. And I love that.
Me too.
And I do feel like even listening to the women that you've had on the things, I mean, and I know you've probably recorded these way months and months ago, but I was meant to hear them at this time in my life. And that's what I love is that, oh, I just got something more out of this and this subject. And, it's like, oh, I can't wait for her next week. Who's going to be on there so I can soak that in?
Thank you for that. And I just believe the timing of all of this is divine. And we are hearing exactly what we need to hear when we need to hear it. And even like I get something in real time while I'm having the conversation. And then on Wednesday morning, when it drops to Apple Podcasts, I listen to it again and I get something new and fresh and beautiful and timely. And I love that. And I've actually been very mindful, at the time of this recording, we're at the beginning of 2023, and it's actually felt like a slow roll for me this year, which is not my normal. And I've had a lot of transition in the previous year, and I'm continuing to work through that. And that, although I have that information in my head, I still am surprised that I'm feeling like I am in transition. But I have really anchored into this belief and this concept that I will not miss out on what's meant for me.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter if anyone's listening to this podcast the day it drops or 3 years after it drops and you're binging like I'm currently doing on Glennon Doyle's podcast. We Can Do Hard Things. Oh my word. It's so good.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Oh my gosh. It's good, but it is not light. So we can do hard things, in fact, but it is still so beautiful how all of these things work out to hit our hearts and our ears and our minds at the perfect time and for the perfect reason.
That's exactly right. That's what I was just I felt like it was just one gift after another. Every week I go and I spend, I take care of my mom, and she's like an hour and a half away. So I'm putting your podcast on. Aww. And I'm just like, oh, this is so wonderful and so peaceful. And I get so much out of it. So thank you again for lighting up women around the world, probably, or around the country.
Yes.
Who knows?
In 31 countries. The podcast
that is fabulous.
Downloaded in 31 countries.
That is fabulous.
It's amazing.
That is so amazing.
Thank you, all you downloaders. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh. That is unbelievable. Well, that is amazing that you're caring for your mom as well. What a gift.
Yes.
For
she's
a
treasure. She is sassy, and she's like 85 and still, can get around on her own and take care of herself. But she is definitely my little sassy mama.
Oh, that is so great.
She makes me laugh every week.
Right.
It is a joy. And that is a sacred time too. When you can care for your mother at the later times in their life where they actually do need you. And I feel very blessed to be there for her.
You're a gift.
No, you're sweet.
It's true. How are you finding, when you're parenting your parents at the same time that you're parenting children, like how are you finding that?
If I didn't have creativity in my life, I would say that my source of energy is in creativity. And so I feel like that when I have to have that me time to like recharge, it is about, getting myself into a dream state, a place of where I want to, create an experience for the women that I host on my beautiful adventures, or hosting guests at our home, or whatever that is. I cannot help myself but be in a creative space. It's just, that's where my spirit is.
Oh, I love that. And we are kindred spirits. The dream space.
Yes, the dream space is fabulous.
That is my sweet spot. In fact, I was just on a call earlier with my team, and she was asking, well, what do I need to focus on today? And I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm visualizing the barn is restored. I've expanded the property line of this house. I'm light years away.
You're in it.
Yes. And I am light years away from what the tasks of today are. I do need to cover the snow away from the driveway, from the garage. But like beyond that, I'm just to be a visionary, to dream, to allow myself to dream. Because for many, many years, when I lived in California and wanted to live in New England, or when I dreamed of being a mom and it wasn't happening yet, I would physically shut my dreaming off at the 30-second mark. Like I would let myself go there, and I would feel my frequency rise inside my body. And instead of welcoming it like I know to do now, I thought, oh, let's put that balloon back under that blanket and don't let it float away, because that's just mean. It's just mean to my heart to let me dream. I have no idea who put that thought in my head, because that is not fun or healthy or delightful in any way. And so now I just desire, with this particular property, the Phineas Wright House, with farm stays, with trips to France, with trips other places, is to provide a space to dream.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that requires getting out of your normal routine, where you have the demands of your day-to-day that shut that dream process down. The phone rings, someone says mom, whatever, reminder pings on your phone, another email, whatever it is. And just to have that pattern interrupt, and to get out of your normal day-to-day, to just listen, to just be, and to go beyond it.
Right. No, I agree with you.
That you provide as well. So say more about these beautiful adventures you mentioned.
I know. I feel like I have been preparing my whole life to host these beautiful adventures that I've created. But it's also been what the gift for me is bringing in everything I love. Like I've been in the design industry for over 40 years, everything from working with developers and builders, doing exterior, interior design, to floral design, to event planning, you name it. I've always had my hands into that creative space, but it came to a time in my life where I physically, I just couldn't do the things that I was doing. Like I was actually creating home and garden design at fun upscale flea markets, and then it's a physical labor that it just took my back. Oh. And then I had some serious knee issues, and so I had 2 knee replacements.
Oh gosh.
And my husband and I were sitting out on the deck, and it was a beautiful day. And he's like, so let's talk about what you want to do. And I'm like, you know what? If I could take everything I love, I would do that and package it. So in my late teens, I was a student, study abroad. So I was able to go and experience Europe for 6 months. And I know that's where the bug of travel came in. So my husband and I love to travel as well. And so that was part of it. It was like that. And then women, I wanted to either do women's retreats, or I wanted to do creative spaces for women in some respect. But what I did is I brought them all together, and I can move these creative spaces wherever I choose to have that experience. So my first love of travel has always been France. I love France. Of course, that's something we have in common. But then I met Italy, and I have to say, I have my heart just kind of, the landscape is like living in a living painting, and it took my breath away. So I love France. And so there's my love for France, and now it's this great love for Italy. So I was
You are allowed to love
more than one
place.
Yes, thank you.
There's plenty of love to go around.
I do know. I'm a soul seeker of beauty.
It's gorgeous.
And so I definitely wanted to create space for women. And what's been exciting is that these women come from everywhere. I don't know them, or I didn't in the first Beautiful Adventures. Just the bonding experience, just the energy and the inspiration that comes, and the lifelong friends that are formed within a day or so.
Right.
And I wanted to create space where it was an intimate space for them to share their hearts. And I found that I was a part of that. It was like, we are all getting something so incredible out of this experience. And with every Beautiful Adventures that I do create, I invite God to be in the planning. And I remind my guests that, let's intentionally be here and be present. Maybe we don't have our phones with us all the time. Let's be in this gorgeous living painting that we're in, and it's ever changing season. Wake up at sunset, reflect, be silent, pause, and then let's get on with our day and see what's in store for us, what is unfolding. And that's what I love the most about creating Beautiful Adventures, is the extraordinary women that actually they say yes. This is their big yes. And they leap into this adventure.
And it happens the moment they say yes.
That's right.
Before a bag is packed, before you go to the airport, before you have that first cappuccino.
Absolutely.
The transformation happens at the yes.
At the yes. And then their dreams become more alive. I believe, when we're waiting for the right circumstance, I'm waiting for this person to be able to travel with me, my spouse, my friend, whoever that may be. And their dream is just waiting, right? I just really pray that more women will step out of that. Once you say yes, everything else comes together. The finances, everything, your life, giving someone else the responsibility to take care of what's going on and, your responsibilities at home, but giving yourself a chance to take that leap and experience something that just recharges your spirit, just rejuvenates it, and brings you home with this glorious experience where you share. You're lighter. Your energy is now what I'm going to say yes to next, right? Because once you start it, that then the yes just keeps on coming. And the more
that has most certainly been the experience that the women that have gone on these trips with me last year have. Like, yes just becomes the habit. And like you said, there's sometimes you think, oh, well, I'm supposed to go to Paris with my husband. We always planned it. And to that, I say, you can, but this time it's just for you. And then next time you can go with them. Like, there's not just one time.
And see, that's where I feel like so many people they're not taking that leap. I feel like they really do believe that they need permission to say yes to themselves.
Which I understand, because I was her.
Yes. And I believe me, we've all been there. Yes.
Yeah. And it is, I mean, like I said, the transformation starts at the yes. Once I personally realized that the person I was waiting to give me permission was me, everything changed for the better.
Right.
Because I was healed, because I was better.
Right.
So then everything I touch comes from that beautiful, elevated, healed space.
Right.
So beyond the permission and beyond the, I'm supposed to take this trip with this other person, are there any other reasons or resistance that you've experienced come up with people that are contemplating your trips? Because I'd really love to speak to the resistance.
Yes. I think that in some cases it could be, the fear of traveling solo, or the fear of, am I going to like the other women that are going to be in this group? Then when I'm creating Beautiful Adventures, it's not a massive group. The max that I'll go, and it's still quite a few, is 10. That's
okay.
I am not one. I love to cater to each woman. And so for me, I feel like that there's more of a bond in an intimate group rather than a large one where you don't really get to know everyone.
Exactly.
So I just feel like, so those are two areas that I feel like women feel like, oh, can I travel alone? Am I even going to like these women? Are they going to like me?
Right.
And how am I going to step into this? I feel like, and then the fact that there's a guilt that women have about leaving family, about not doing their, what they're supposed to be doing, what they're told they're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. But if women understood the need of rest, the need to replenish, and the joy and the strength that other women will bring into their lives, there's a community there that would make their lives so much richer if they just took that opportunity and said yes.
Right. And you're not going to come home from that trip just angry and entitled and leaving your husband. Like,
no.
These are not the points to make you see that you've been under someone's thumb. That is not at all what happens. What happens is you just get to be reminded of your contribution.
Yep.
And that it is so much more than packing lunches and doing laundry and taking care of a home, holding up the sky, and holding down a job at the same time. Like, there are so many things that, I mean, this is a generalization and based on my own experience, but so many things that a woman is in charge of, just in keeping a home. And if you have children and animals and a spouse, a partner, and you're managing, like, how much toilet paper do we have, and when is this person's teeth cleaning, and do I have cardamom because that recipe that I just saw on Instagram needs it? And like, there are all of these things that we're managing. And the idea, like you said, to leave and allow someone else to do it, which chances are is going to require more than one person to do the things that you as one person does, because everyone else would say that is too much, but not us. And, to allow somebody else to step up and serve, and to allow them to do it differently, which doesn't mean they did it wrong. It just means they did it differently than you did, is like, these are,
it's an opportunity. It's like saying to your spouse or to a family member, I'm giving you an opportunity to have this experience. Take care of the kids, take care of the dog, house sit, come be at my house and do the
and
things.
To them, it's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
My house sitter, she's a dream because she thinks this is a dream. Like, she thanks me. She brings me thank you gifts for house sitting.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. It's a double blessing.
It is.
It's a blessing for you to be away from your family. It's a blessing for your family to be away from you, and to have you all come back together in this new, you've expanded, you've grown, and they've expanded and grown. And Absolutely. It's just a beautiful thing. One of the women that went, our photographer who went with me in September to France, has a 14-year-old son. And I interviewed her for the podcast, Sylvie. And she said, coming back, like, her son takes care of himself now. And he doesn't begrudge her that he has this newfound skill. He loves having these newfound skills, and now he checks on her and sees if he needs a snack, and does she need anything? And
I love that.
It's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yes, it's, and also I do feel, if you've got a spouse or a partner that doesn't really want to travel as much as you do, then and you're holding yourself back because this other person doesn't want to be, to go out and experience this. It's really, it kind of lets the air out of your big balloon dream in a way. But if they see you out experiencing a beautiful adventures or one with Wendy, then they are looking at you and see this lightness in you when you get back, and you're refreshed and you're excited. You can't wait to share everything. And they're like, I might want to, let's go travel.
Right.
That's kind of an inspiration for them to want to get out there too. And, and I have women that their spouses just don't want to go, but they're going to go.
It's great.
And I love that about them.
Because it's not sassy or fresh. It's just them owning their own experience and allowing their partner to own theirs. And neither of them are wrong. They're just different.
They're just different. Exactly.
Yes. So tell me about Italy. So you have 2 trips. You've got a trip in April and a trip in October.
I do. I've got have you heard of the magazine Eden and Vine?
No.
You need to get this.
I'm sure I do.
Anyway, it is a faith-based, most gorgeous magazine for women, and they cultivate in beauty and truth. And they've asked me to host a beautiful adventures in Tuscany for their followers, and they will be doing 3 fabulous days of cultivation days where they'll be actually bringing their magazine to life in their teachings. Wow. And so we have a pretty big group for that. We do have 3 spaces left on that one, by the way, for your listeners. And then I've got beautiful adventures in October.
And this is your own trip.
This is my custom beautiful adventures that I do. I do an annual trip.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
Yes.
Would you be open to sharing the itinerary? Just like, what are the highlights? How many days? How much does it cost? All those things, because I think there's a certain piece of information that allows a woman to continue on the path of dreaming.
Right.
So for example, if she's in a beautiful boutique and she sees the dress, the first question is, do I like the color? So sometimes color, like if it's already, it's only available in yellow, that doesn't look good on me, I'm done.
Right.
The next question is, does it come in my size?
Right.
So now I'm looking at it. Here it is in Kelly green, and it's in my size. Hooray, hooray. And my third question is, how much does it cost?
Right.
I've already checked my 2 boxes. Now I need to know this third. So I think for some women, for the trips, it's how long is it going to be? What are we going to do? How many people are going to be there? And how much does it cost? And so for me, I like to put, like, that's why if you go to my website and for one of my trips, all of that information is right there. Like, you don't even, you can check all those boxes before you even loop me into your internal conversation. So I think that those questions, just like, should I go into this boutique, and then am I going down this road with this dress before I actually go to all the efforts to take my shoes off and actually try this thing on? So would you be willing to share those pieces of information?
So Eden and Vine is from April 20th to the 29th. So we've got 4 beautiful days out in gorgeous hilltop towns. We're staying in an agriturismo, which is a working farm, vineyard and olive oil state.
Oh,
and the the surroundings of this estate actually will make you weep. I mean, my husband wept when, and
I have chills. The dress is in color green and it's my size.
That's right.
Keep going.
It's the most gorgeous small estate that it's become my home away from home when I'm in Italy. And the owners there are they're just priceless. It's a husband and wife who, the wife actually is the producer of all the wine, and he runs all the business side of it. Gorgeous. But they actually met. He was a gardener, and they met when she was in renovation. It was a family-owned property, and it is just absolutely breathtaking. So just being there in that property is so worth the trip, honestly.
I'm sure.
But then we're going to some lovely hilltop towns, San Gimignano, Lucca, Siena, and Florence, of course. And I have just these beautiful women over in Italy that are my private tour guides that are just a part of the group. They're just fabulous, very inspiring, and they really take you through the history, the culture, it's just a beautiful experience. And then
how many people are on that trip?
So for Eden and Vine, we have the 3 spots. So once we fill those, it'll be a group of 23. She is bringing her photographer. They are doing an edition for this particular trip. And so then she has her family and so forth. But then we've got these beautiful guests coming from all over that, and they're young. I was really pretty impressed that her followers, we have a lot that are coming in their 30s, their early 30s. And it's really going to be fun to host this. And so it's just, we've got wine tastings, we have cooking class, a Tuscan cooking class. It's just going to be fabulous. And then in October, we're doing.
How much is the Eden and Vine trip?
Oh, the Eden and Vine is $5,950.
That's amazing. For 4 days?
No, from the 20th to the 29th.
Oh my gosh.
So we're talking night. Yes.
All right,
it
ladies,
is.
I think there's only 2 spots left for you now.
Honestly, it's spectacular. But it's also the same price for my beautiful adventures, $5,950. Okay. And I'm only doing a group of 10. And I just opened up those extra spots. And the registration's open on my website. But what we're going to be doing in October is we're going to go truffle hunting. So we're going to be out in the forest. We're going to, hunt for truffles and have a lovely private lunch. We're going to be doing wine tastings. We've got, we're going to a coastal town where we're going to be there at an exclusive market where it's like cashmere and the clothing and all the fun different things at a good price. So we'll be at this beautiful coastal town. We're doing some beautiful hilltop towns, and then we're going to spend 3 days in Rome.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that'll be at the tail end. So that'll be really nice too for people. Anybody that thinks of Italy thinks of Rome. And so we'll experience that.
The first time I went to Europe was actually a birthday gift from Keith. It was my first birthday of being married. And it was just this beautiful gift, all these themed presents. And the last one was a trip to Paris, but we actually went to London, Paris, Rome, Florence, Lucerne, Switzerland, back to Paris, back to London, and home. So it was 17 days. And you will not believe this, and nor will anyone listening, because I scarcely believe it. I packed in a backpack with clothes that I could wash in the sink of the hotel, because I had never been to Europe, and something in my mind said, this is a mission trip. I don't know what in the world. So I brought one pair of shoes, which is also just unheard of, and threw them away when I got home because I was so tired of having functional shoes. And of course, then only brought darling shoes to Europe after that because I didn't like any of the pictures. So anyway, I loved Florence because I loved London, I loved Paris, I loved Rome. But then once we got to Florence, I felt like I can twirl around and not hit anybody. This place is awesome. And we were there more days than we were in any of the larger cities. And it's just so beautiful.
And I'm excited to actually go in the spring because for Eden and Vine, for their group, because, everything will be blooming. In Lucca, there's going to be a flower festival for the there's a Saint Zita festival there. And so it'll be this gorgeous flower market while we're there. And then when we're in Florence, we're going to go to the gardens, and the wisteria is in full bloom. So they've got this gorgeous tunnel of wisteria that we'll be going up to. And then, of course, we'll have to have our aperitif and our, we're going to have to just really enjoy that moment. But I'm also looking at fabulous. I mean, everywhere you look is a photograph for a magazine. So it's just, they're going to be in heaven, doing all their photography. But yeah, you'll have to definitely check out Eden and Vine.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. How long have you been running these trips? You said you do your trip annually.
Yeah, so I've been running mine. I actually started my dream of bringing everything together in 2017. So It hasn't been that long. I thought, what am I going to, because this is the season where, everything, I want to savor it all. So that was the time where everything kind of changed physically and everything else for me to say, okay, what do I want to do next? And I just leap. This is who I am. I just keep leaping.
So good.
Okay, let's go. Let's do this.
It's so good. And I love that your husband asked you that beautiful question.
Yeah.
When you were sitting on the deck.
He has been such a great support. And, he'll email me suggestions or, hey, have you checked this out when I'm in research? That's another part that I love about Beautiful Adventures is all the research and how that day will unfold. Like, what could I put in there that would just be this most incredible experience for women? And so there's a lot of unexpected surprises. I do a dinner soiree on every Beautiful Adventures where domestically in the United States, I would invite a special guest to be a part of that and a few other guests. And we would, everything, it's all catered and music and, it's there for all the senses to fill you up. And that's what I want every single day for these women to experience is that their senses are savored in every experience. The cuisine, I'm a foodie, so I, how can you not be in Italy, by the way?
Right?
But so we go to some beautiful dining experiences, establishments and locals' favorites, and it lights me up.
Oh, it sounds so dreamy. Do people, the other, I think, piece of resistance that people have is if they don't speak the language. So do you find that every single person that signs up for your trip is fluent in Italian?
No, it's surprisingly for everyone that's not traveled. And of course, they love for you to try. It's,
Yes.
they definitely love for you to try to speak, but you can get through any of my beautiful adventures speaking English. So yeah, so it's fun. So my one beautiful adventures is in October from the 1st to the 10th. So, or excuse me, to the 12th. So it's, yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's a ridiculous price.
Yes.
We should talk about your pricing, ma'am. I'm really good at pricing other people's stuff.
I kind of thought you might say that to me because I was looking at your wonderful pricing and I'm like,
which is also underpriced because
you are underpriced.
I am underpriced. And
you are.
Everyone's in their own money story, and I'm getting better. I did it for weddings also because I just thought, oh gosh, this is getting really expensive. I better just make my part free. And we are actually allowed to make money because we are delivering a beautiful service, and nobody is arguing about that. It's just something like that's the resistance that I have. It's like, it's like this podcast. Am I really allowed to just do this?
Right.
It's so easy. Isn't it supposed to be hard? Like, aren't you supposed to work really hard for money? So it's a shift that
it is a shift. It really is. I've been lucky in Italy as far as my pricing goes, and being able to do the experiences that we're going to have. And I just did an Italy trip last October, and it was beautiful. So yes, the pricing is something like in 2024, I've had so many requests. When are you going to France? When are you going to France? So that, things will change when we get over there.
And it's expensive. When I the first trip I did was in October of 2021. And then I did March of 2022. And the prices were very different because we were still in the midst of a pandemic, and they were very happy that someone wanted to rent the hotel. But my pricing stayed the same for my trip in September. But the things that the hotels and restaurants and Ubers, everything was charging so much more. And I didn't realize that. So, I mean, there are just things, there's a learning curve. And then there's also, it's popular again, and people are traveling, and these businesses are needing to make up for their lost revenue.
Well,
and I totally support that.
Right. I mean, just in this new year, my pricing for transportation went up tremendously in Italy. And I've been fortunate with our accommodations because they're friends, and they've been able to really provide a beautiful package. And so I do rent out that whole property, which is lovely. But I know, I hear you. We have to think about this as a business,
right?
And that we actually do deserve to, we work so hard on all the finest little details, and it's so many hours. It is a full-time job, and we do need to look at all that when we're providing a price.
Yes, and I appreciate you holding space for this conversation, because it makes me sweaty. Like, I don't like to have this conversation, and that to me has a new trigger. Like, when I feel like this, it's because I need to have the conversation.
Right. No, my accountant, he loves having these chats with me. He's like, okay, this is going to be our year, right? Because I'm growing into it, and I'm learning as I go, and the expenses and everything else. And because my my little business is growing. I have to grow with that, and I have to make some adjustments. So no, I'm glad that you brought that to my attention about my pricing, but at the same time, thank goodness for this year, I'm okay. You know what I mean? I've had to account for every little thing that I'm doing. Of course we do. But in the past, I mean, it's like a gift. Oh, I'm just giving you this wonderful.
Right. Aren't I so nice? And of course you
I'm
love
so
it.
nice.
Yeah, and I this year is different.
It is.
Like, I don't want to be an avoidant princess about that either.
Right.
It was okay for all of these years for me not to make money because I had a husband with a corporate job,
Right.
and I don't have that. And I love this house and I want to live here and stay here. And that means that I have to make money. No, I feel bad that I have to make money. Oh my word.
That's right.
I've got work to do.
We do. You know what? It is an ongoing progressive thought pattern that we have. And, we want everything to be this gorgeous experience. And so we are adding in these little tiny things, and sometimes they're gifts.
They're gifts.
They're just
It's
gifts.
true. And the years of experience that gave us the ability to do what we do in the way that we do it.
Right.
That's valuable.
That's right. That's right. I absolutely agree with you there. It's a good thing we love what we do.
We do love what we do. We do.
We do.
And we love the women we do it for.
That's right.
And we love men, but
we do.
Right now, this is so fun I'm sure I'll do trips that men are allowed to come on. I mean, they're not allowed, that men are invited.
Right.
Join. But right now, I'm really enjoying walking down the streets of Paris, and I have smaller groups than you. So
what are your group sizes?
No more than 6.
That's great.
So, and they've been 5 is how many? I had 5 women on the cookbook trip, plus Sylvie, my photographer. And then the Paris trip, there were 4. So I love that. That's just sweet. And that is at a higher price point because it's very high touch. And I've chatted with some other women that offer similar things to that same fabulous city that actually don't enjoy being with the people the whole time. And so there's a lot of free time on those trips. And I actually love it. Like, I want to collect you for breakfast and then tuck you in after dinner and drinks and a beautiful walk. And I don't want you to have to think about anything. And I do love being with them. Of course, if someone wants to bow out of a day or an excursion or whatever, they have absolute agency. They can stay in bed and order room service. They could do whatever they want. With these small groups, with these women that don't typically travel by themselves or without their family unit, I love that we're walking down the streets of Paris and it's 2:00 in the afternoon. And I turn around and say, ladies, how about a glass of champagne?
There you go.
They say, oui, s'il vous plaît. And then we hop into the Les Maurice and we have a glass of champagne and then we chat and then we get up and we go on with our day. And I don't know if that same dynamic of every idea I have is the most brilliant one in the room happens if there are also men or spouses with us.
That's true.
So I feel like that right now, that's the dynamic that I like is, similar to when I'm hanging out with Amelia, when I say, should we walk to the top of the Eiffel Tower and have a fancy drink? And she says, oh, yeah, you have the best ideas. And I say, yes, I do.
I love that. I love that.
So that's why I'm really loving this size and that it's for women right now.
Yes, I agree with you. That's what I am loving. That's where my heart is and where my inspiration comes from. I feel like too, after all the planning and after, arriving and you're unfolding your days and things don't always go as planned. I love those moments too, because it's like those God moments, like, okay, let's just go with the flow here and see where we go from here. And I love that when I arrive, that it's if it feels effortless, if it feels like I've done my job, I'm just a part of the group, right? And I'm just loving every minute with my ladies. I just love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's so good. I think, there's a pretty significant evolution between trip 1 and trip 2, in that I thought that for the price that I really needed to pack each of those days with so many things so that everyone knew they were getting a great value and all of this good stuff. And what I found was that we were walking past all of these things that I wanted to explore, but I couldn't turn because I needed to be 3 blocks from here in 10 minutes.
Yes.
And I just thought, oh, well, that's good to know. But I need to add a lot more margin to this day to follow our bliss.
Well,
because
you know
that's
what
we want to do.
That's right. In fact, every single hilltop town we visit, and every single day I give space for these ladies to go out and explore, go find lunch on their own, go shopping, whatever they want to do. And then if I put in a fun private tour, we do a couple of hours of that, but then they really have their time to find their experience in that day. And then when we come together for dinner, al fresco, where we're sitting out on the terrace and we're overlooking San Gimignano. I mean, it's just gorgeous.
Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever that is.
You're like, oh my gosh, who am I right now?
We got to pinch ourselves a little bit. No, then we talk about our experiences. What was your experience today? What did you get out of this today? And then we just open up, and there's this intimate place where our heart just wants to share. I love that too. I'm sure you experience that.
I do. Yeah. And I think that that's great. And that's a great model for your group size as well, because a table for 11, 3 meals a day is not easy to find.
No. And I do, I love that we eat on property for a lot of it. So you just come home from your day, put on your loungers,
nice.
Go walk through the vineyards, go, have an aperitif at sunset, whatever that is, and then come together and have that dinner and just relax. It is so important that they feel refreshed.
Yes.
And that they know that we can slow the pace. Whatever that day is, we can slow the pace. And
oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for this conversation. I have loved it. And I appreciate your generosity with sharing how you run your trips and all of that goodness. I think, community and collaboration over competition every single day of the week. I felt like that in the wedding industry as well. There's plenty of people to go around.
Absolutely.
And I just think we can all be better when we are collaborating and in community and cheering each other on and promoting each other's things and all of that goodness. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Fun.
I appreciate
and you're right.
it.
We are kindred spirits, and I feel like we've been friends forever. And I'm so glad that we will be friends forever.
I definitely want to come out and visit your beautiful farm and experience the B&B experience. I am just thrilled about that. I've been loving that red barn. So I actually have to see it.
Well, come see it before it gets renovated, because if you were any part of my visualizations, it doesn't look anything like it does now.
Now, what will the color be?
There is a barn down the street that is so beautiful, and it's been redone, and it is white and black, just like the house, and my house is white and black. So I will take suggestions. If you are gasping and appalled that I'm considering painting the barn white, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I think it's white. I think her next iteration is different. And when we first moved here, I loved everything about that barn. It is 200 years old. It has never had a party in it. It may have, but not regularly. It was full of treasures, collections of other people's. There's a canoe in the rafters that birds were making a nest in. And I was like, I'll take it. Like, this is amazing. It has so much potential. I love it. And, of course, everyone else that walked in there was like, this thing is falling down. And it's not unsafe. I've had a barn restoration guy told me that this barn could roll down a hill and not fall apart. So I believe that. But, there are sometimes you go into a space and you see something that the potential of that space, and other people don't have those glasses on. And I just loved it the way that it was, and invited people to host their events in there that loved it just the way that it was. And I didn't want to change anything. And then last summer, I was sitting in there journaling and dreaming, and I just felt in my heart, okay, it's time. It's time to really breathe new life into that space, and to care for the structure in a way that celebrates the history, but also
that's beautiful.
Supports its future.
And of course.
Yep.
And we've got to name her.
We will name her. I'm not sure what her name will be. We'll see when she's done, I think.
That's lovely.
For rebirthing, we'll give her a good name. Well, thank you again so much for your time, Suzie. This was lovely.
Oh, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much.
I almost forgot, Suzie. I so loved our conversation. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can learn more about these amazing trips and get one of those last few spots for April or for October.
You can reach me on Instagram at Black Sheep Beautiful Adventures. My website is blacksheepbeautifuladventures.com, and my Facebook is Black Sheep Beautiful Adventures.
Perfect.
Easy.
Yes. And we will link all of that in the show notes. So everybody go follow Miss Suzie, get all of her great travel tips, and see all the beautiful places that she is visiting in Tuscany, and get your spot for that trip. I might be sitting right next to you in the van. Thanks again,
Thanks
Suzie.
so much.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site, or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.